Welcome to the deep dive. You know how we like to get straight into it. And today, well, we're heading to Chhattisgarh,
Mm,
specifically to look at the Bhoramdeo Temple, often called the Khajuraho of Chhattisgarh.
that's right. It's quite a title.
It is. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding why this place is so important. We've done the groundwork for you.
Exactly. And Chhattisgarh itself, it's relatively new as a state, formed in
In
2000.
Madhya Pradesh.
But its history goes way, way back. We're talking Ramayana and Mahabharata times.
Wow.
It's linked to the ancient Kosal region, Monica Shelley's birthplace.
Rama's mother. That's incredible context. And it saw a lot of powerful dynasties over the years.
Oh, absolutely. You had the Haihayas or the Chedi dynasty right through to the Bonsales of Nagpur much later.
And they all left their mark culturally, politically.
Definitely. Shaped the whole region. And one of those key groups were the Phani Nagavanshi kings.
Phani Nagavanshi.
Yeah, Phani Nagavanshi. We actually know about them from an inscription in another temple nearby, the Madhwa Mahal.
Ah, so there's evidence.
Yes, and it tells us they built quite a few temples, including, well, Bhoramdeo.
Right. So our mission today, basically, is to explore Bhoramdeo's history, its architecture, and those unique sculptures everyone talks about.
Let's do it. Where should we start? The name itself.
Yeah, let's start with the name, Bhoramdeo. Seems like there are a few ideas floating around.
There are. It's interesting how local stories and language mix. So one popular idea is that it's named after a king, Bhoramdeo.
But you said there's no actual proof of this king.
Not in written records, no. It seems more like, local folklore.
Okay, so what's the other possibility? Something to do with the local language?
Precisely. In the Gandhi language, spoken by the local Gond tribal community,
Uh-huh.
Bhoramdeo just means Shiva.
Ah. Well, that makes a lot more sense, given it's a Shiva temple.
It seems the most likely origin, connecting directly to the deity in the local tongue.
And it's still important locally, isn't it? For shepherds.
Very much so. Local shepherds still hold it in high regard. It shows this amazing continuity of worship.
That's fantastic. Okay, so, construction. Who built it and when? We mentioned the Phani Nagavanshi kings.
Yes, inscriptions point to King Lakshman Ray and King Gopal Dev Ray,
Right.
likely around the 9th, maybe 10th centuries AD.
So, over 1,000 years old, and remarkably well-preserved.
Yes, that's one of the really striking things. Because it was somewhat remote, it largely escaped major foreign invasions.
Lucky break for the temple.
Definitely. And, the slight damage, the weathering on some sculptures, it actually gives it this unique feeling. You feel the history.
Yeah, those little imperfections tell a story. Okay, let's picture the temple itself. The architecture, the layout.
Right. So it faces east-west. That's pretty standard.
Okay.
And it has 3 entrance porches, mandapas. They face east, north, and south.
Like welcoming arms.
Yeah.
Leading into the main hall, the mandapa.
Exactly. The mandapa. That's the main hall for devotees.
What happens there?
It's where people gather, offer prayers, perform rituals, or just sit quietly before, proceeding inwards.
A preparation space. And then there's a connection to the inner sanctum.
Yes, the antarala. It's like a vestibule.
Okay.
It connects the mandapa to the garbhagriha, the sanctum sanctorum.
Where the main deity is.
Right. And to reach the Shiva lingam there, you actually go down a few steps.
Descending into the sacred core. And this whole layout is pretty typical.
Quite typical for Hindu temples of that era, yes.
And you mentioned the entrance to the garbhagriha is special.
Oh, very. The doorway, the jambs around it, they're beautifully carved. Lots of Vishnu avatars depicted there.
Interesting, Vishnu on a Shiva temple entrance.
Shows that fluidity sometimes.
Yeah.
Inside, the pillars are also worth noting. Really well carved, with these yaksha figures.
Load-bearing yakshas.
Exactly. They look like they're holding up the roof. And the ceiling itself, the vimana, is just excellent carving work.
Sounds incredibly detailed. Now, if we step back outside and walk around it, circumambulate, what do we see structure-wise?
Okay, starting from the bottom, you've got the base, the adhisthana.
The foundation.
And on that base, there's a really distinct feature. The Gajathara.
Gaja means elephant, right?
Exactly. It's a layer, a frieze, with elephants carved all the way around the temple. A procession in stone.
Wow. That must be impressive. What's above the elephants?
That's the main outer wall, the Mandavara. And this is where you find most of the sculptures we need to talk about.
Okay, the main gallery, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then rising above that, the spire.
The Shikara, yes.
Yeah.
And Bhoramdeo's Shikara is quite unique.
How so?
Instead of one smooth tower, it looks like lots of smaller spires clustered together.
Ah, sort of layered or multifaceted?
Kind of, yeah. They all merge into one continuous spire. but it gives it this textured look.
Interesting. And the very top piece.
That's the amalaka, a large, round, sort of ribbed stone, very characteristic of the Nagara style of North Indian temples.
Got it. Adhisthana with Gajadhara, Mandavara with sculptures, multi-spired shikara, and the amalaka on top.
You've got it.
Okay, sculptures. This is where it gets really fascinating, I think. You said the outer walls are covered?
Absolutely covered. It's an incredible display. You find figures like Lakulisha.
Who was he again?
He was a key figure, maybe even the founder, of the Pashupada sect of Shaivism. So his presence tells us something specific about the temple's leanings.
Right, it connects it to a particular school of thought. Who else is there?
Well, powerful images of Shiva, of course, like Shiva slaying the elephant demon, Gajasura.
Dramatic.
Very. Also Hanuman, Ram's devotee, Bhairava, the fierce form of Shiva.
Okay.
Then there's Brahmani, she's the Shakti, the female energy of Brahma, and one of the Saptamatrikas, the seven mothers.
So, representations of the divine feminine, too.
Definitely. And Vishnu's avatars again, Vamana the dwarf, Narasimha the man-lion.
A real mix from the pantheon. Even Surya, the sun god.
Yes. And he's shown holding lotuses, but also, interestingly, wearing boots.
Boots. That is unusual.
It is. You also see Nritya Ganesha, a dancing Ganesha, always a joyful image. And Harihara.
Ah, the combined Shiva and Vishnu form. We should definitely come back to that one.
Absolutely. It's very significant.
Any other major goddesses?
Yes, Chamunda, in her really fierce aspect, Ardhanarishvara.
The half-man, half-woman form, Shiva and Parvati.
Exactly. Representing Purusha and Prakriti, the fundamental principles of creation. And of course, Durga slaying Mahishasura, the buffalo demon.
Another classic, powerful scene. You also mentioned Sursundaris, celestial women.
Right. Beautiful celestial women, the Surasundaris. They're not just decorative, though.
No.
They're often shown conveying subtle messages, sometimes about controlling the senses, sound, taste, sight, touch, smell, deeper meanings woven into the beauty.
That's fascinating. Art with a philosophical layer. And I suppose some of these sculptures, perhaps the more intimate ones, are why it gets the Khajuraho nickname.
That's widely believed to be the reason, yes. The presence of erotic sculptures depicting various aspects of life, including sensuality. It's part of that artistic tradition seen in Khajuraho, too, portraying the whole range of human experience.
Right, not shying away from any aspect. What about the guardians of the directions, the Dikpalas?
They're there, too, all 8 of them, positioned appropriately.
So Indra in the east.
Varuna in the west, Yama in the south, Kubera in the north.
In the corners.
Agni in the southeast, Niriti in the southwest, Vayu in the northwest, and Ishana in the northeast. It symbolically orients the temple within the cosmos.
Wow, it really is a universe in stone. Okay, let's zoom in on 2 specific sculptures you mentioned, Harihara and Chamunda. Start with Harihara. Why is it so important?
Well, like you said earlier, it's this fusion of Shiva and Vishnu. Shaivism and Vaishnavism were major traditions, sometimes distinct.
Right.
So this image is a powerful statement about unity. It suggests that these different paths ultimately lead to the same divine reality, the same truth.
A message of harmony. How do they actually show the combination?
It's literally split down the middle, visually. One side has Shiva's attributes, maybe the Trishul, the trident, and a Nakshamala, a rosary. The other side has Vishnu's, typically the Gada, the mace, and the chakra, the discus. 2 gods in one form.
Clearly distinct, yet perfectly merged. Amazing. And there's another detail about Garuda.
Yes. Often in the corner of the Harihara sculpture, you see Garuda, who is Vishnu's eagle mount, depicted in human form, sitting respectfully with folded hands.
What does that signify?
It's often interpreted as symbolizing social unity, bringing together different groups or traditions, extending that theme of harmony beyond just the gods.
That adds another layer entirely. Beautiful. Okay, now for Chamunda. You said this one is intense.
It really is. It's carved in black stone, which adds to the effect, and the artistry just brings this fearsome goddess to life, almost uncomfortably so.
How is she depicted? What are the attributes?
She has 16 arms, which immediately tells you about her immense power.
16. Wow.
She's known as the slayer of the demons, Chanda and Munda. That's where her name comes from. And there's these striking details. One leg is shown broken.
Oh, why?
The specific symbolism can be complex, but it adds to her fearsome, unconventional image. And there's a scorpion carved on her stomach, which is quite emaciated.
A scorpion, that's very specific. What else? Skull crown?
Yes, a skull crown, and she wears garlands of human skulls too, usually 3.
Classic iconography for her fierce form. And the weapons in her many hands.
A whole arsenal.
Mm.
Sword, shield, skull cups, thunderbolt, vajra, bow and arrow, rosary, akshamala, an elephant goad, Ankush, symbols of her power over life, death, and illusion.
Sounds truly formidable. What about her face?
That's maybe the most captivating part. The eyes are deep set, and she has this almost distorted smile. It's powerful, maybe a bit disturbing. It definitely leaves an impression.
I can only imagine. It sounds like something you really have to see. Okay, thinking about visiting, if someone is inspired to go see Bhoramdeo, what else is there in Chhattisgarh? It's not just this one temple, right?
Oh, not at all. The region is rich. There are ancient caves nearby hinting at much older history.
Right.
And then there's Chitrakoti Falls. People call it India's Niagara Falls.
High praise.
It's spectacular, honestly. And beyond that, you have these vast, dense forests, other fascinating temples, and really wonderful tribal communities. Very honest, very humane people.
That sounds lovely. And getting around is okay.
Yeah, the infrastructure has improved a lot. Good roads connect even quite remote areas now, which makes exploring much easier. Hospitality businesses are generally very welcoming, too.
Good to know. What about food and crafts? Always important for travelers.
Definitely. Look for local eateries called Gark Kalewa. They serve authentic regional food.
Gark Kalewa. Got it.
And for crafts, there are these centers called Zitkumitki in many villages. You can find beautiful work in wood, metal, terracotta, really nice souvenirs that support local artisans.
Zitkumitki. Okay. So history, nature, culture, food, crafts. It's a whole package. When's the best time to go?
Probably after the monsoon, say August or September onwards. Everything is incredibly green and lush then.
Nature puts on a show.
It really does. The weather's usually pleasant, too. It just adds a special charm to the whole visit.
It really sounds like a compelling trip. And Bhoramdeo Temple is clearly at the heart of it, this incredible blend of history, art, and spirituality.
It really encapsulates so much. Looking at those sculptures, the architecture, you can't help but think about the skill, the beliefs, the messages encoded there.
Absolutely. It raises so many questions. Which brings us to a final thought for our listeners. Thinking about sculptures like Harihara, that powerful symbol of religious fusion, how does understanding that kind of historical syncretism, that blending of traditions, maybe inform how we think about unity and shared human experience today?
That's a deep question, something to definitely reflect on.
Indeed. A lot to ponder from Bhoramdeo. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.